In the previous lesson, we saw that we can access, interact with private fields using methods. An example, we saw that we had one method to set a value to this field and one method to get the value out of this field. Now, there is another way to interact with private fields. One way is actually there's another way called property. But properties, we have two ways of properties: the short way and the long way of property. The short way is actually instead of the field. Instead of using private string underscore mother's name, we are declaring a property. It's not exactly a field, but it's used like a field. But it's something in between a field and a method. It's declared like a field, public string, mother's name, and it's like also a method. And it have also a body like a method, but it doesn't have the opening and closing round bracket like a method. So it's not a method, it's property, but it's used like a field. But we see here in the body of this property that we have get and set. We have get and set. For now, this get and set means that we can get and set the value of this mother's name, this field or property as we call it. We can get the value out of it and we can set the value for this property. Because in global it says that this is public. So we can get the value and set the value for this property. If we want to change it, if we want to let the people outside of this class only have access to the get, so here, before the set, we can write private. Then from now on, outside of this class, we will be able only to get the value of this property, but to set the value of this property we will not be able, because the set is marked as private. So outside of this class we will not be able to set the value for this mother's name. Only inside this class, if we will have a method, for example, inside this method we will be able to set the value for this property, even though the set is private, because inside the class there is no problem with private. But now outside this class, because the set is private, we cannot set the value for this mother's name. Only get the value out of this. But the important thing here is that a property, the short way of the property, the short form of property, is instead of the field. We do not use the field anymore, we use the property. But there is in property is also the long way. In the long way, the property is not instead the field, but working together with the field. This is the property name, which is of type string, and it's public, which means that it's accessible outside this class. And this is the body of the property. And here we see that the get has its own body and set has its own body too. But if someone calls this property outside of our class and ask for the value of this property, what this properties do is get. It returns the value of this field actually. So when someone asks for the father's name, he gets the underscore father's name field. And if someone wants to set a value to this property, let's see what the properties do. It takes the value that someone set to this property. It takes the value here in the second part, and set the value to the field, the father's name underscore for the father's name. Let's see the example of it. Here we have variable p1 of type person class. Here we set the three public fields underscore ID, first name, last name, and here we are setting the property father's name with the value of Adam. P1 dot father's name, this is the property because it says public, we can see it, and we set the value for father's name, the property is father's name with Adam. Let's see what's going on inside father's name. Inside father's name. Father's name is the long form of property. Because we are trying to set the values, then we go here. And the property takes the value that we gave him and set it to this field father's underscore father's name. If we will try to get the value out of this father's name, then this property, the father's name property will go here. And we'll look what we need to do when someone asks me, give me your value. Then it says get the value out of, return the value out of underscore father's name from here. And here also, when we are printing the values of P1, well, this is public underscore ID, this is public, this is public. This is P1 father's name. Here we are getting the value out of the father's name. And as we see here before, that when we are asking get the value from father's name, it goes to the fields underscore father's name and gets the value from here. And here we are asking also for P1 mother's name. Mother's name is the short form of property. Let's see what's going on when we are asking the value out of the mother's name property. It gets to this part, get, and gets the value out of it. But if we will change private and put it here, then we will have an error, because now we cannot get the value out of mother's name outside this class, because get is private. Let's see if Visual Studio shows us that we have a problem. Here Visual Studio tells us with this red wavy line that we have a problem. We cannot access this property. It says the property or indexer cannot use in this context because the get accessor is inaccessible. Let's change the set for the father's name also to be private. Let's see. Let's take the private, put it in here in the set. Now we cannot set a value to father's name, which of course we will not be able to set it to the fields underscore father's name, because the set is now private. So this part of setting the value to the field is inaccessible now. Let's see if Visual Studio that now shows us that we have a problem setting the value to father's name. Here we see that P1, that father's name, having the value of Adam, now we have a problem, because the set is now inaccessible. It's private.